Hello friends, I want to tell you about our new affiliate, Metagreens. Do you want to feel energized, focus, and support your brain health without having to take multiple vitamins and supplements? Metagreens is a clinically developed blend of natural super greens with a nitric oxide booster to help optimize your brain and body health as you age, all in one capsule. Nitric oxide is the miracle molecule that plays a vital role in regulating your immune system, nerve health, digestive system, and most importantly, your brain. Generally, people don't eat enough vegetable servings per day, causing low nutrient levels. And as we age, our nitric oxide levels decrease. With one daily dose of Metagreens, you'll get a nitric oxide boost, plus 35 nutrients filled with antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. Feel energized, be focused, and age wisely, all with Metagreens. Go to mymetagreens.com and use coupon code FKN10. You'll get 10% off your order. Get back to living your best life. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News here. I have an important announcement. Forbidden Knowledge News needs your help. We hope to soon have the means to travel to New Mexico and Utah to start production of Season 2 of the Forbidden documentary series. We are changing the format of the series. Instead of 3 30-minute episodes per season, each season will be a full-length 90-minute film. I'm in the process of finishing up Season 1 and combining all episodes into a full-length film. It should be done by early October. Unfortunately, we have had some equipment breakdowns recently, and we need donations so that we can update our equipment and continue producing incredible content for you all. We are completely self-funded. No big-name mattress or boner pill sponsorships here to help us out, so we could use your help. We need new laptop, mixer, and microphone. If you would like to help with the donation, please use the link right in the description. There is a PayPal link. Also, you can go to supportfkn.com. Other ways you can help. You can purchase the limited edition version of Episode 1 from our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, or there is also a direct link in the description that you can click to get that episode. You can also get a Rokfin premium membership. Just go to rokfin.com/FKN+. Thank you all for the amazing support and love you've shown over the years, and continue to help us make the next few years even more incredible. We appreciate it very much, and we'll see you in a bit for Forbidden Knowledge News. Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Brandon Thomas. First, I have a couple of announcements. A great way to support Forbidden Knowledge News is with a Rokfin Premium membership. With the membership, you get not only access to all of our premium content, but all the premium content from every amazing creator on Rokfin. You can also get Forbidden Knowledge News live 5 days a week on Rokfin, Rumble, and our website. The website is forbiddenknowledge.news. That's the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature some of your favorite podcasts, and you can always get every new episode of Forbidden Knowledge News on Rokfin, Rumble, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Today, I want to welcome back to the show Brandon Thomas. He is producer and host of Expanding Reality. He is a seeker, philosopher, musician, rancher, and avid idea hunter, as well as lover of all things fascinating. Brandon, welcome back. How you doing?
Brother, every day above ground's a great day. It's good to be here, man. It's good to see you.
Yes, always a wonderful conversation. And I know today is definitely going to join the ranks. We've got a lot to get into, lots of happenings happening, lots of current events. And you've recently published a new book, Mindful Expansion. And this is going to be part of a series. Do I have that right?
You do. You have that correct. And it's very exciting. It ended up turning into a whole series. I drew this stuff out. There's a whole process on how I did this. And I've got a couple of drawing samples here. But yeah, it's going to be a full 4-book to release at first. The 5th will come out a little later and as something different, but part of it. So yeah, it's all this ubiquitous theme, and have different cover artists featured for the covers. The first one, Mindful Expansion, is more of a morning style journal, and we can absolutely get into it. But to feature Janine Burgess real quick, I've had her on the show. She's exceptional. She makes this whole Mandela series. So she does the geometry in the back there, as well as these anatomically correct insects that she has.
That's beautiful.
This science background she has in her lineage just kind of gave her this inspiration mixed with the art. And so she has Oracle deck coming out, all that stuff. So can't talk about her enough. So each cover will feature an artist. All of them have been contacted. They're contributors in the form of quotes and other artists that are going to be contributing to things. And so it's a whole inclusive series that is mindfully expansive at a personal level. And that's how it was designed. But also it includes the community and allows you to go deeper into some of these folks, like what we do on the show, which is share some people, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome. In the book, you're providing tools for each and every one of us to develop and excel in all aspects of our incarnation here. And like you said in the synopsis of the book, it's designed to launch you into the greatest and grandest version of you that your physical vessel can handle, which is awesome. I love that. Now, we're going to get into your book and some of the incredible revelations and events unfolding in this earthly realm right now.
Crazy
yes, man.
Time.
It is crazy times. It's fun times. I'm having a blast. But before we get into any of it, for those that may not be familiar, remind the audience about yourself and your podcast.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I am Brandon Thomas. I host a show called Expanding Reality, which we also have a book for. It's a companion book that you can check out, also located on Amazon. We, have shifted into publishing and books and all that stuff, but still at our core, we have Expanding Reality, which has been the vehicle that's launched all of these amazing projects that we've gotten to, again, form a community to include in, which has been spectacular. So so multifaceted. I do a lot of stuff. Wife and I live out on a ranch on 12 acres out here in North Texas. And we also do the podcast. We do publishing. We have a publishing house called Rediginal Publishing. So if you guys are interested, reach out at rediginalpublishing@gmail.com. And other than that, we are just breaking apart the systems here. We're creating our own. We are showing and empowering people that there's a way out, if you want to put it that way, but that maybe that, the way out was always right within you all along. It's those movies. Like, I'm an 80s kid. I grew up in the 80s. And so all those movies that were sitting there telling us, the key was in you all along. And we were like, yeah, right. Well, turns out maybe, so we're looking into that kind of stuff. And it's just been a wild ride, man. And then, like you said, the craziness going on, the videos online right now, the weather stuff going on, whatever that is, and just the directed energy weapon shit, the alien shit, Mexico touting these bodies, whatever those paper mache art projects they touted in front of people. And it's just a wild ass time. And we're creating journals and doing shit through it all, creating documentaries and still talking to people about cool stuff. So it's fun, man. It's like we're the violinist, playing on the Titanic as it's all sinking, it's all burning to shit around us. But we're like, hey, I made this book if you want to kind of make into time with yourself, I made this amazing documentary.
It does definitely seem that way sometimes, that we are just entertaining a sinking ship. But man, It is a good time. It is a good time. Now, speaking of good times, tell the audience a little bit about the book. Give us a synopsis. And first, what brought you to write the book?
Man, so yes, and so first and foremost, thank you so much for this. And this is so fresh. You have like the inside scoop because I've done zero,
Nice.
first of all, zero promotion for this. The first release, I didn't even get my author copies until yesterday on my birthday, which 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, when I decided to publish this, what this is, and I'll get into that. My deadline or my goal for myself, my personal goal, was to be holding it in my hands by my birthday, which is September
Ah,
18th.
sweet.
And so it literally got delivered on that day. So the cool thing about this is it's my practice, it's my journaling practice, and I'll kind of hold it up for the audience here. There is a hardback and a paperback version of this, so if you prefer that, we've got you covered. What you can see in this, if you've got the video on there, is going to be just a lot of weird circles and sections and lines, and you're like, what the hell is going on with this thing? Basically, what this is it's a practice that I drew every single morning. I would open my lined journal that I bought. I would draw these sections out. I had them labeled, and I would say, okay, well, I want, to track the moon. And this is all the things that I wanted to do to learn more about myself, my cycles, about going within, about going deep within who I was and discovering more about who I am. There's a quote at the very beginning of the book, and it's from Abraham Hicks, and it reads, when people ask you, what have you done? The only thing that you will be able to say to them that is of any use to them is, I figured out my relationship with me. So mindful expansion, the journal abbreviates down to me, M-E. Now, this is going to be part of a larger series, which we'll be talking about later, but its theme is going to be similar. There's going to be a creative expansion, C-E, and an introspective expansion, I-E. Theme different, again, covers are different outlines and goals on those. But whenever we talk about this, the biggest deal on this is getting to know you. What I've found in my journey, which has been insane and crazy, and even in the production of this journal, the resistance in this has been so overwhelmingly transformative in my life personally, just to put this out. You know this with your documentary. We don't even have to talk about how crazy when you get a project and it's so big and you know it, right? So through this process, this was a journaling thing that I just did, and I did it since last year. I just started including these things. I said, I want these elements included. I wanted to track the moon. I wanted to be committed to a reading practice. I wanted to be more mindful about just how I started my day. And the book also opens with a quote in here from the Saint Ignatius. Let me get to it here. Okay, so St. Ignatius Loyola is quoted in regards to the importance of the early stages of cognition and programming as it applies to the developing mind of a young human. He is quoted as saying, here's the quote, "Give me a child till he is 7 years old, and I will show you the man." Now, what I did with this and what I was personally doing was setting the tone. I listened to that quote, and I said, well, shit. If we look at our lives as if the morning part of let's look at a day like a life, okay? And let's say the first bit of it is like the 0 to 7, your indoctrination period. And if you're waking up and you're swiping on your phone, or you're immediately going into chaos, then that's how you set the tone for your entire day, which in this example is your life in this model. So what I chose to do was to set the tone differently. And I have 7 different things that I just declared was, this is how I'm going to do it for me personally. And it's woven into the fabric of the journaling practice that then I designed for myself just to get to know me better, right? So to set the tone, the 7 things are: no phone for the first hour, very important. Water before caffeine of any kind. Drink your water first. Positive self-talk and mirror work if that's something that you're into, but definitely set your mental tone for the day on a positive note intentionally. A reading practice of any sort, just 5 pages minimum, was my commitment to myself. A journaling practice, which we've provided you a template for here if you'd like. Also a walk in nature, as well as a physical commitment. Now, you don't have to go nuts and go to the gym and stuff like that. My physical commitment, for instance, was my age in push-ups, my age in lunges, and my age in sit-ups every day. So if I did those 3 things, I was like, dude, I'm pumped. Plus my walk in nature, I'm doing it barefoot, I'm grounded, we're having a good time. So what I then did was, in my journaling practice, there are these things called nodes. Now, if you look here, and I know the audio-only audience, you guys are just going to have to check this out. There are these little circles and dots here and things like that. Now, what I did was I said, okay, well, I'm going to make that mean to me, I did my push-ups, I did my sit-ups, and I did my lunges for the day, and then how many days consecutive. So woven into this journal, and we have an example filled out here, you can see those 3 same dots there that now they're all filled in with a color, and you choose whatever color, it's all yours. and then the number. Now you want that number to grow every damn day. And then remember the set the tone thing that I said? There's 7 dots here and then a counter. So you can count how often you are doing all of those things. No phone for the first hour, coffee before caffeine, all of those things. So there's sample videos that I just put up on Instagram and TikTok that walk through this. It's just a very brief explanation of the rundown of them, but I'm always here to answer questions on any of this kind of stuff.
Let me ask you something. So how long have you been journaling, and how much has it improved your daily life and aspects of your life in general?
So my journaling started with this practice, actually. I have not been journaling long. I was not somebody who did this for a very long time. But as I got further into things, I started going, man, I just kind of want to write down like when I was on Chris's show last. And so I started keeping notes about cool things that happened, because dope shit happens for guys like us all the time, Chris. And so dope things happen for everybody all the time. And then I started adding to it. I was like, oh, well, as long as I'm tracking my day, or kind of just, a short little few paragraphs about my day before that I was reflecting on the next morning, a brief little conversation with self. And this was something I wanted to open myself up to. And I didn't start doing anything like this until probably this time last year. So 1 year ago now is when I started a committed-ish journal practice. But in December is when I started this. That committed-ish turned into a few elements that I added. I added art around it to separate it from my own mind. And then it got cool. And then it looked even cooler. And then I added more elements. And so from there, from December on, is when I've been doing this. But then since late July is when I decided to publish it. And so that's when I sat down and really drew it out for publish, which included a bunch of other things as well. But
the reason I ask is because
a consistent journaler.
Is because I started journaling recently just about different random things, and I've already noticed the biggest thing is I can remember more. I can just retain more naturally, even if I don't go and refer to my journal. It's like it's already there if I've written it out after it happens. So that's one of the main things, but it also helps me to gather my thoughts for the day. So I just wanted to get your insights into that, because for me, I just recently started doing it too, and it's super helpful.
Dude, totally. I mean, absolutely. And the thing with this one was it was beyond a question. It was a conversation with self, yes. But I also had these 4 questions I wanted to ask, again, like you, to figure out where I was. What's my metric? Where am I now? To take inventory on where I'm at mentally. And so it's just 4 questions you ask yourself every day. It's just, who do I choose to be today? How do I choose to feel today? What do I choose to give today? And what do I choose to receive today? And just answer those questions. The next one was a mantra, just a short little quick go get 'em tiger, kind of a thing. And then the next thing was gratitude, man. These 3 elements were huge to me. I wanted to make sure that I focused on those things, and then with conversation with self, right? And so then I started doing it like this. And then I've also got a now and noteworthy, like if Mercury's in retrograde and it's fucking with me or something, I'll put it here. If my goal's down here, so I've got goals like you work on projects, you're a one bite at a guy time with an elephant like I am with your documentary, it's in everything. So you do micro goals and you track them with these little nodes. Like it has these really cool little circle features that you fill that in, and then you write the day, or however you want to do it, which is really cool too. Yeah, but the journaling practice has opened me up so much more to who I am, to what I'm doing, and also by doing things like tracking the moon and finding out how that affects me. Honestly, I'm a new moon dude. When the new moon is around, I'm like, shit, man. So I will purposefully schedule light around 4 or 5 days around the new moon or whatever. And it seems to serve me well, is what I've noticed. Now, whether there's anything to that, it's just a personal cycle I've noticed. And it's been something I've noticed for years. My wife even would say it, oh, it's your time of the month. And I'm like, yeah, it's new moon. And I go, oh shit, new moon. Or I'll do something weird and I'll be like, what the fuck's going on with my mind? And she'll go, it's new moon today. And I'll go, oh, thank you. And like, she knows my cycle. So it was something I felt important enough to track. And it's one of these things to where actually the tracker goes that whenever you look at it, you get to fill in the moon cycle as it is now, the moon phase. You say it's a waxing crescent, how many days until the next phase? And you fill in the next phase, and then you write the next phase. So you're just kind of in tune with where you're at, where you're going, and what ratio that is. Also, you can rate the intensity of it. If you've got these, you get these little nodes over here. So I'll fill in like, dude, this was a booger bear, and like crank that up. So later on, as I'm writing to myself, like maybe something fucked up and maybe my goals are thrown off, but that also affected my workout schedule. And then it's also raining. So there's like a weather tracker in here as well. So you can track the weather. So you say like it's snowy, you have your high and low temps for the day. You can assign these to be whatever you want. I have sunny, snowy, ominous. Chemtrails are in there, by the way. And then I've got an example sheet that I'll show you. And then also, you know, any other way, but you can look back at this and you could say, okay, there's a lot of information here and it looks overwhelming or whatever, but this is so customizable to you, but you can just follow the formula if you want. Now, whenever you look at this later, you can say, okay, on my energy tracker here, I was cranked. My mood was low as fuck, but my energy was cranked. It was new moon, a waxing crescent. We were 4 days away from this first quarter, and I know that's real close to new moon. And so, you know, my gratitude was off, whatever. I was having a weird day. My goals were off. You can kind of track these things as you go. So I found it to be an interesting introspective point for me, especially when you start adding the components like an uptake counter, like something consecutive that you're watching grow. You just sitting down and doing 40 push-ups every day. If you let that number slip, you feel like a turd, dude, because it's 40 fucking push-ups. You could do 10 here, 10 there, 10 here, right? You got 24 hours to do 40 push-ups, and you couldn't fill that little bubble in. So it looks at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's also great because you always hear Mercury retrograde is causing me to do this. It's because of that. And like you were saying, oh, the moon cycles cause me to be in certain moods. Well, with this tool, I think for me too, I think for a lot of people it does, but with this tool, you can actually apply it to paper, pen and paper, and compare it to your actual mood at the time and go back and look back and study it just to verify that indeed your mood was different during different cycles of the moon or different weather, right?
Yeah. Or anything you got going. Like maybe you got a stressful goal, a deadline, and that's affecting things. You know, maybe your mantras are off. I know looking back in my journal, having done this practice, I'll see my mantras and know where I'm at mentally because they are opposites of where I'm at, which means they're about lack or scarcity, which means I'm in a lack or scarcity mindset. Like I can see them directly. And so I know this reflective stage as I look back over this. So I've got like dozens of different versions of this that I've drawn. Again, I got 2 journals full of this that I use for 2 of the half years, of like 2, like half per year, right? So 2 to complete a year. Now, that's another thing with this. Since this thing is a 2-page spread, 3 of these complete 1 year. But on the outside, we've included these spine nodes here where it's got 2 little circles that you put the volume number. Like let's say you're on number 1 for the year or number 2, and you're on number 3 and they're about to roll it. And then the year number, right? So this is my first edition of this for the year of 23. And so these will also lay in series and be different colors for the different books as well. But we wanted you to be able to track that on the outside since it was so thick. I mean, I could have made a 600-page book, but I didn't feel like doing that. And I don't think anybody'd want to carry it around. So right. 3 of these complete a year, but it is a very in-depth mindful practice that's customizable to you, like I said. So it's cool.
On. Now, you mentioned gratitude. For me, this is one of the most important tools in my tool bag. If I am not grateful on a daily basis, it will start to affect my life in ways where it'll drag me down versus the times where I'm super grateful and very aware of my blessings on a daily basis and acknowledging that and how good things go whenever I'm in that state of mind versus the other, right?
Beautiful. Absolutely. Gratitude is key. It is so key, and it is sometimes hard to come by. I know that sounds, again, I'm coming out of a weird spot. This was just such a riddled time of resistance, and I'm birthday death portal. I heard somebody refer to what I'm experiencing as, which is a cool band name if it's not already. Yeah. So going through the birthday death portal, the energy's been all fucked. But yeah, man, gratitude is the key. There's so many different things I've talked about, even a bracelet on your arm, maybe your partner's hair tie, something like that, to where every time you touch it, you think of how grateful you are for them. Even if you're in a fight, you think of the grateful things that you have for that partnership. If you've got maybe like a little rock or something you keep in your pocket. I know Neil Donald Walsh talked about this in Conversations with God, the idea that you have a gratitude rock. Basically, it's just a reminder. It's just to say, hey, I'm grateful, and every time I touch this, I think of something I'm grateful for. Now, with this practice, there's the ability for you to go really deep with it. Gratitude for me is, it's so important. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to think of being without it. But again, I was coming out of a time to where I saw no gratitude. Nothing looked pretty. Everything sucked. It was just this void, sucked this life out of me. It sucked. But in there, I still found things to be grateful for. But like you, I was searching, dude. There were moments, man, I was looking. I'm like, man, fuck everything. Everything sucked, dude. But you could still be grateful because I still had a voice to yell about how pissed off I was. And I was grateful for that, to be honest with you. I was grateful that I wasn't physically incapable of punching something if I wanted to express my anger that way. I didn't, but you can get that silly with it. I'm grateful that I can fill my lungs with air and yell as loud as I want.
Do you think it's necessary that we receive that level of pockets of resistance, like what you were saying, like what you were describing you recently experienced? Do you think it's necessary that we go through those kind of dark nights of the soul in order to expand forward?
Yes. As all attempts to say that is not the case and that I can find a different way for everybody and then I'll let everyone know about it, I will report back to you weakened, tired, and like with little tufts of smoke, hair still smoking, and say, there's shit you go through and it's all personal and it's all you and it tears the old you down. And so this is the thing. And I know that you found this out about your show when you did it. That was the death of an old version of you that created that, but you needed to kill off, literally smother that old version of you that got you to that point. This is what's so fucked about this experience that I've really come to lately, Chris. And again, you're catching me on a real fiery time in my life right now to where I'm like a little fucking pissed off at everything. So
no, this is great. We all go through our troughs and valleys, and we got to experience it all.
And with this one, it was so deep that it was just like, why does everything have to fucking suck, dude? And I got to the point where I'm like so analytical with it too. I'm sitting here going, well, if this is the press, I'm just gonna sit here, fuck all of this. Like I'm not. What it felt like was I just kept standing up to get kicked in the nuts. And I would sit there and I'd go, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So no, it's going to be different this time. I'm telling you, you're so close. Your vibration is so high. You're right there. And then I'd stand up. I'd go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. I'd start getting a flow. We'd start to get momentum. Kicked in the nuts. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And it really got to this last one, dude, to where I was like, I'm done getting kicked in the nuts. I felt like I was just fucking done with it. And what it was it was the death of this old version of me that was scared to be seen in the way that this journal is already doing. And I've done no promotion for it. This is huge for people. And I knew this. So much resistance has been wrapped up into this. And I'll come back to why. That it was down to, so again, the process of how I did this, I'm just going to real quick. I hand drew all this stuff on my architecture table back there. So these are like hand drawings that I then did ink reliefs of, and then scanned those in at my local UPS store, which had smudges on the ink. So you'll see artifacts on the thing here. Plus it's not perfect. You'll see little things, but it's mine. It's authentic. It's real. But going through this, I would get to the point where, okay, I'm on the last fucking thing. And it was like one thing after another. Once I decided, okay, I'm publishing this, it was like, this got fucked up. The mower broke, like something weird, like a water pipe broke. A cat got cut and had to be ran to the vet when I had this much time to finish the project to get it scanned today. Well, everything shut down, right? Yeah. That's resistance. That takes priority. So there was that. There was the light broke on the very last drawing that I was done that night, dude. I'm sitting here last things. It was 18 hand drawings that I did with this, and they were so tedious. And I'm sitting here with this pen, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's almost done. And the light goes bonk and like bumped the pen and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was all of this resistance was wrapped into this. And thank God, a couple of years ago, somebody recommended a book called The War of Art. It's by a guy named Steven Pressfield. I actually just reposted a video on Instagram of him on somebody else's show on an interview. But anyway, this dude is normally a fiction writer, right? But he wrote this book called The War of Art. It's like a 2.5-hour audiobook listen. It's great. But for folks like us, folks who say, like, we don't want to sit in a cubicle, right? Then there is something called the resistance that you encounter when you break out of that, because it's sort of a rites of passage. It's sort of a, how bad do you want it? Now, I wish this wasn't the case. And again, I'd like to tell you guys that I found another way and that it's easy and all of that good stuff. Like you probably, like I was told, I don't find that to be the case for me. If that's somebody else's experience, dope. Yeah. I have found that I need to find the 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb before the motherfucker goes on. And so with this thing, though, there was, again, just so much resistance wrapped up into it. What Steven Pressfield talks about is any artist, musician, writer, documentary filmmaker, podcaster, any artist of any kind, something like that that's breaking out, you will be constantly encountered with something called the resistance. Now, what's awesome about this is before I knew what this concept was, in the way that he framed it, which just changed my perception about it, was I used to look at this like, why is my mom mad at me right now? And this is fucked up and this is happening. But what it was, I didn't connect it. But what it is now, and sort of like we look at the phenomena with the UFO, with paranormal, we're looking at it sort of like there's an element of something woven in together there. Well, whenever you look at this thing called resistance, you would see that it's not this over here, that over here, problem 3, 4, and 5 as well. It's everything acting on behalf of the resistance. And its job is to make sure that you are worth your salt. And if you don't have it, it will beat it out of you as long as you keep going. And so you literally kill the old version of you to create the new. And this version of me was stubborn as fuck, man. And it was a beat down, dude. It was, I'm telling you, the darkest, deepest depression I've ever been in, and I can't express it other than that. I went to go upload this thing. The only thing I can metric is the timeline. I went to go upload this thing, and it felt like I went to go upload and I died with it, like handing it over the finish line. You know what I mean? And then somebody just picked it up and was like, "Oh, okay." And that's what it felt like, with the amount of energy, with the amount of resistance that I battled through with this, with the personal growth, dude, that it dimmed everything for me to just breathe for 3 weeks.
For
and
me,
I've
it seems
never
like
experienced that.
it seems like there's constantly a new version of myself waiting to come through, and there's constantly this death and rebirth that I experience. And it's just like you explained, we go through these difficult times where it's like a growth period, but we're trying to understand what we're coming into, and we may throw resistance, and the resistance comes whenever we fight against the death that you were just speaking of. The best part about it is there's constantly, at least for me, it seems like there's going to be a new one coming up in the future, and I've always got to be accepting that I have to kill off an old part of myself to accept a new part.
You know what I'm looking forward to is not needing it to be that way. You know what I'm saying? If we have the insight to be able to at least, I can look at my parents and say that there are some ideals where we differentiate, where I can pick up a little bit where they left off.
Right.
So now let's say that we can look at the idea that that's the case, that that's the modus operandi of this place, which is true for us from our current understanding. That's the way I've experienced it. That's the way you've experienced it. I'm sure I'm getting a lot of nods out there as we're talking about this. But it's just like all the other conversations we're having about consciousness here. It's like, why can't we choose to view it differently, which makes us experience it differently? Now, I realize that I can just let that flow out of my mouth, and the simplicity seems just, oh, okay, I'll just fuck me, right? I'll just go do that. But there's no easiness to that at all. There's no ease in that. At least I didn't experience it. I'm not projecting this to create a coloring book and fill it in for you. Like, everybody's going to have their own experience of this, but I just chose to feel it really darkly, man. And again, it's not something I usually embrace. And so it was a side of myself that I saw that scared the shit out of me. I found out it was very fucking powerful, and that dude does not fuck around. And I'm proud of him because he's gotten us where we are. And there was a balance that needed to occur that I was given the opportunity to recognize in a way that I can't ignore. And in that way, it changed me, dude. I've got a little PTSD, to be honest with you. I don't know if you've had like a traumatic experience with yourself. Does this make sense, where you like beat the shit out of yourself for a certain amount of time? Okay, I didn't. Yeah. I know I'm not alone. I was hoping I was, that no one else experienced this, but dude, it was just such a beat down that I've just got such a like apprehension, I would say, that's it. I've got an apprehension is where I'll stop the sentence. And that's what's so interesting about this. There was such, not confidence, but there was such there was a feeling, you could feel it. It was a direction. It was a cardinal clear bell that was rang and that sounded pure and true. And what I honestly figured out also is the way that I expend energy. So I would also say this to anybody who's experienced burnout, because what I feel was a bunch of shit at once, and it was all this perfect timing of shit. It was this extreme burnout, which I didn't know what that was. And then also my birthday death portal, whatever that is, maybe like midlife crisis or whatever, just turned 41 yesterday. I don't feel like I'm a bummer, but you know what I mean? It just hit me. And there was no ignoring it. And so all of these things just sort of hit me at once. And what I thought about, and what, has kind of been coming to this, is the way that I use energy. And a dear friend of mine, Jaron Kenyon, I've had him on the show. He was messaging me and just being very sweet. I shut the world off, but he messaged me and said, I did some digging into your human design, and I wanted to let you know, because you're like me, that you have an open root. And I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He was like, you have an open root. So that means that you just go and you expend this energy until you're at extreme burnout, and then you've got nothing left. And so I thought about this, dude. And so what I thought about is I need to keep an eye on my engine. Okay. And this analogy came to me where think about the Aurora project. Remember those pulse engines that are called ion engines? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
How they work and why they're so successful. It's such a revolutionary technology is because it's amazing thrust propulsion, but it pulses so that there's no length in time duration, but it allows it to get these longer distances because of the pulse and then a shock wave again. It's a more efficient way for this type of speed travel. So the engine itself functions in that way. So in the same way that an ion engine pulses as not to go into burnout, I also need to keep an eye on my engine to make sure that I don't do the same. And these little like ways I learn lessons, I fucking hate it, dude. I'll be honest with you. I wish I could just get a goddamn download that like the Matrix and they could just show me shit instead of it being this whatever the fuck the last 3 weeks were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, it's traumatic. What the fuck are we doing here, right?
Well, when that happens to me, it does happen in waves, and I forget the abilities that I have to manifest. I forget that I can visualize, that I can go into a meditative state and use my positive intention and visualize certain outcomes. And if I am putting the effort and time into doing this enough, that outcome will eventually manifest. If I am constantly worried about, say, the revenue that I'm making, the money that's coming in, I will have a problem with money coming in. But if I spend it like I have it, if I spend it like water, if I'm having a good time and don't worry about it, there's usually this steady flow, and it's something that I found that goes along with the resistance that we were talking about, that we cause for ourselves by worrying about it, and it creates these energetic blocks that prevent the money from coming in, that prevent the creativity from flowing, that prevent all the things that we're trying to have these beautiful outcomes for. But with the slightest bad outcome or a crack in the wall, we get down on ourselves, and that causes that negative energy to come out and cause our own blockages, if you know what I mean.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in more than you know, because then I'm sitting here saying, well, fuck. Like, I felt like I folded so fucking hard under the lightest of pressures. And this is what honestly bummed me out more than anything, was like my constitution. I thought I had more, I thought I was like, fuck yeah, I got this shit. I'm resolved. I got this figured out. Those little boxes, they're got a little character on it, usually a robot, and it's a square platform underneath it, and you push the bottom of it and it folds down. Yeah. It like collapses.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you let go and it springs back to life. That's what I felt like. I felt like it was a paper tiger, like it was fuck all. And that honestly is what destroyed me the most. It was this idea that I didn't have this fortitude to weather this with the knowing awareness that I'd carried this entire time. And fuck yeah, it's going to work out. Fuck yeah, I'm on the right path. Fuck yeah, this is it. And all of it vanished in a way that I couldn't explain other than the void if you've ever done psychedelics. It was this complete absence of joy, beauty, anything. And I just beat the shit out of myself for weeks. And even knowing what I know about manifestation, not feeling like I'm great at it, knowing what I know, I felt like I was really great at it then. And that the only thing I was great at was making sure that I ensured that was a perpetual manifestation for myself, was where I was, because of how powerful that motherfucker is. Now I'm to a point where that's the thing you harness, that's what you tap into, and you flip the script on it, as they say. You grab that power and you change its energy. And I was just given a glimpse into how powerful it was, and it scared the shit out of me. And it bugged me, more than bugged me. I'm being very easy on myself by saying that. It bugged me to say that I was fuck all against it. And it was weird. It was really weird.
For those moments of resistance, I find personally what has been a miracle tool for me has been magic mushrooms, different psychedelic plant medicines. It'll bring back my perspective, and I'm so grateful for having the access to some of these plant medicines, because they've completely changed my life. I owe so much to being able to utilize psilocybin and magic mushrooms in my experiences.
It's awesome, man. And see, the last time I did mushrooms was 2 Thanksgivings ago. Actually, I did a microdose in between that had the same result. I was anxious as fuck. I couldn't handle it. Like I didn't like it. It was just this really anxious thing. I was like crying, and I wasn't getting insights. I was like again, bummed out. It was, I didn't, and I attempted to integrate those so hard. I was like, what was that? Like, I've never experienced that on mushrooms ever. And the only thing I sort of felt was that I just am not supposed to be doing them right now, which means now I understand the benefit because I've received the benefits of them as you, my friend. It makes me feel like it almost held a coping mechanism back that would have kept me from this greater understanding, with it. Like if I would have been able to ease myself into this, again, I wish I didn't learn this way. Okay. I wish I could just get a download. I know Kung Fu. I know how to process emotions properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't for me. I need to go down this shit path. And so with that, I just found that's what I, choose. And so I'm not welcome to the mushroom right now. I'm not welcoming the mushroom is how I'll put it. I'm always welcome there, but it doesn't, I'm a little, again, PTSD about it. It was such a jarring experience for me and an inverse of anything I've ever connected with mushrooms before that I was like, what the fuck is this? Even did a microdose right after just to see if I could like baby water the thing, baby pull the thing back into it. But no, it was the same thing, anxious if not more.
Yeah.
It was just really interesting.
Well, I find it super interesting the amount of friends and colleagues that I have that have either recently or are right now going through these similar feelings, this what you might call dark night of the soul. I have recently gone through similar myself. There's been a lot of resistance producing this documentary, as we were talking about earlier, and it seems that the more people are collectively coming online and becoming aware, there is like this collective resistance that's fighting against our collective awakening because it wants us to become the best that we can in our spiritual awakening, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
It completely does, dude. I'm reading Mike Ricksecker's new book, The Time, in his new series. Have you gotten him on yet about that?
I had, yes, the other day.
Badass. Okay, awesome. Shout out. I thought so. But anyway, I'm reading that. In there, he was talking about the Ouroboros right up top. And I was like, yes. And when he talks about this wheel of time and you think about everybody's got their own little Ouroboros. I just, broke a fuckload of cycles. And that's what this time allowed me to do, is to look at the snake and go, hang on. I'm done with this. I'm breaking these off and cutting the snake off so it can't eat itself again. But in the same way, this is happening on a macro and a micro level with everyone. So it does feel like collectively these cycles are breaking, but that's a loss of sustenance for the creature that's been surviving on itself in that wheel of time. So that's what you've got to convince it's okay to do, is for that creature to survive off of its own cyclical nature, which is just regurgitating these cycles and this never-ending masturbatory process of learning shit the hard way and things being shitty and like whatever. I feel it's ending like you do, and I think that that's what we're kind of here to do. We're all like little bombs inside the Ouroboros, and we just kind of like came in here and we set ourselves off at these beam of lights, and we're blowing this thing to pieces from the inside, and it's just breaking the cycle down. It's just us saying, okay, that's enough, and that comes with destruction, that comes with inertia, that comes with a lot of uncomfortable ease. But what it is and how it was explained to me, which also kind of sucks, by the way, we're signed up with a bunch of things like contracts, like past life stuff that you're not privy to because you can't be, but you just have to trust in the fact that that's what's going on because you're supposed to feel better about it, which I've got my own feelings about that as a sovereign being. But anyway, when you look at things like breaking down these ideals that are things outside of you, like these ways in which you learn things, these patterns that you exist within but are sort of caught in the tornado of, it's what affects the change. And it's fascinating to me because I found this like inner journey to be the thing that attracts the people out here who are making the change, which then amplifies the change. And so it's a fascinating thing that you go within to amplify you, to be a bright enough light, to be seen by the other bright lights, to then grab each other and then brighten each other's lights, which is, and then they tell two friends and so on, right? And it's this illumination idea, but it's breaking this cycle of patterns that has just gone on, and it was an experience. It's a whirlpool. You can think about just God getting stuck in a roundabout over in England. It's his first time there. He's never done it before. He just got kind of Benny Hill stuck in it. And we got stuck in the cycle. And then now we're just sort of breaking out of it. Oh, now we know we need to go that way. And it just feels like a change, whether it was a timed thing or what, because the cycles even feel like spirals, right? We're still spiraling in an upward elevating direction so that we can expand out of this.
And then there's the other layer of resistance where we have our community, our truth community, our spiritual community, this group of people that wants to spiritually evolve and have our consciousness grow. And we have resistance to that from those that want a technocratic state, that those that don't want a spiritual reality, those that are trying to extinguish spirituality, which there are very powerful groups of people that are doing so right now. So there are layers of resistance that we have to fight against, and it can be very difficult at times if you don't have the right kind of spiritual foundations.
Yeah, and a compass, really. Your discernment is what I feel is the most important right now. I've fell into a bunch of spiritual traps. I've been led into ideas that, and so here's the idea and how it goes, right? And I'm just going to say this with as much respect as I can, as this is my experience. I've always questioned, the interface that folks have with these type of phenomena, whether it be contacts, your contact with your spirit entities, angels, anything like this. I think it's all awesome, right? I love it. I don't have the experience. I don't have something up here that's going, hey, go this way, or hey, here's a little feather I left in your way, or hey, this is significant. I feel sometimes that I am aware of synchronicities, but how people speak about direct contacts with entities, with direct communication with God, with any sort of reinforcing entity, I don't feel I have. I also don't. Now, whether I am or not, this is just, I guess, part of the role that I'm meant to play here. But I don't feel, again, like I have this just, oh, yeah, that's what to do. It's a more trial and error thing for me, which, again, I feel that there's a lot of insight and benefit to that as well. But to say that people have this interface with something and can tell you what you should be experiencing is powerful. And there are some people out there that know that that's very powerful and will deliberately mislead people for their own ends, or maybe their own mind is misleading them, their own compass is forging them through a path that then you get to the end of, and it's just a big boulder at the end of a, you can't go anywhere kind of cliff kind of a thing. And so It's not that you're misled, it's that there's such interesting ways in which you receive hope in this place. And hope is fucking hard to come by these days. And so with an uptick of our availability to receive information, with the uptick of people that feel that they have the answers and that they have big followings and that, they look a certain way, watch these. Like, this is our time where this is the discernment. This is where your heart is guiding everything. Mm-hmm. If it sucks in your life, get it out of there. There's a great mantra that I've got that you could put in your mindful expansion journal if you want. And it's, if it's not worth, God damn it, I just threw myself off here. I was thinking of something else. If it devalues my worth, it will be replaced. And to that end, you just replace the shit. There are these like grace periods people feel that they need to give in consideration. I think people pleasing is fucking done. I think this idea of that fear is going to be the way to motivate people is fucking done. And that's what I'm most excited about moving forward. If it devalues your worth, it will be replaced. That's it. But you have to know what your worth is. And that's what we're learning through our discernment. You're sitting here saying, okay, I'm worth this. I'm not worth being bullied around by something. I'm not worth somebody making me feel inadequate when I know I'm the shit. Things like this. It's asserting your boundaries. Yeah. And it's a fascinating time to do so.
It is, man. It's a fascinating time to do a lot of things. I love that people are doing their own forms of entertainment, starting their own businesses, starting their own podcasts, starting their own movies, doing things that are going to help us all collectively exit the system that we're currently in. So it's super exciting times. And speaking of exciting times, last time I spoke with you, you were working with Dave Zed on a few concepts and theories when it comes to free energy and this source of energy and intelligence that surrounds us at all times that we could possibly tap into. Have you had any new revelations or insights since we last spoke about this?
Honestly, no. Dave has shared a couple of things with me that I'm not allowed to share, but that I will say look awesome. And I will say that some experiments are continuing and that they're very interesting. I think the whole thing is fascinating. And you can just go through TikTok all day long. It's not what we're doing in this garage or whatever's going on in any garages, there's a lot of garages where some amazing things are happening with magnets, with certain liquids that spun in certain directions, with current, with variants of current, with angles. Angles are very important on this kind of stuff. So there's all of these things that lead us to believe that it's all around us all the time. And there are some interesting experiments that you can do with things that you can get fairly relatively easily. And then scaling those up is what would be interesting. Now, all of this, I think, is at the very beginnings of what I don't know enough about it to say where we are with it. I will say that there's some interesting things that are going on. And I love the progress because you can see what's happening and then imagine it bigger. And it's like, yeah.
Do you get a sense that with what Dave's doing, that he may have a somewhat clear path to do so as far as three-letter agency resistance, black projects, military industrial interests that may give him problems either now or in the future? Do you see him being able to bypass that?
Any answer to that question is going to be speculation. I have no idea. I know that I love that man and that he's a dear friend to me, and that whenever he's here, I enjoy his company, and that we've done some really cool shit and had some amazing conversations. But as far as three-letter agencies or anything like that, I can't speak to because I don't know. You know,
I wish him the best of luck, man. He's doing some great stuff.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I like being surprised. He'll pop in every now and then and be like, hey, I'm like, holy shit. So it's doing some amazing things. And we, like you said, wish him well, absolutely.
All right, on. Now, in the realms of possibilities of the unknown, we've had some interesting revelations come out of our mainstream lately when it comes to disclosure. Of course, with it comes the arguing camps of whether it's real or not, whether we're being deceived once again or not. I always question everything, especially since the experiences we've had post-2020 with our media and government not being honest with us and trying to deceive us on various levels. So if we haven't learned to question authority by now, shame on us. But we've had some interesting things come out that I have to pay attention to, I'm entertained by, and I'm fascinated by. The most recent is the revelation of alien bodies from Peru that to me look like a terrible papier-mâché project. And unfortunately, it's coming from a gentleman who's been known for, we'll just say, fraudulent reproductions of beings before. So this is going to be a tough one to decipher. The Peruvian government says it's fake. The Mexican government says it's real. I have half of my friends saying it's real, half of my friends saying it's not real. I am not going to take any stance at this time. I'm collecting data, but I'd love to get your insights.
Also collecting data. I find that what they're saying and how they're saying it's more important than what they're saying, if that makes sense. Like how they're saying it, what we're being shown. Same thing that I've said with this like idea of disclosure and what's going on, and it's how it's touted in the military and how they're not calling you, guy that's been doing this as long as you have, gotten the insights, you have personal experiences. They don't have you on CNN talking right now or whatever. You're not the main focus of the attention, which is what I would like to see, more grassroots narrative, which is where the entities themselves seem to find themselves, is in contact with folks on a real grassroots level. It being framed in the military, just again, I look at all context with this. It makes me feel like there's some sort of mindset or some predictive programming going on in the fact that they would like to perception manage how you view this thing. And whenever they're talking about like the Vegas thing, like, oh, this thing came down and here's this horrible video and these entities are now invading homes. And so now your backyard isn't even safe, right? And then you have the military standing up there saying, oh, well, we've got a bunch of things to tell you. It's wink, wink, but we can't tell you out here, so we're going to talk about it later. But they talk about these. I feel that it's such a theatrically played out event that whatever happens next, no one's going to believe. And this is why when the aliens, whatever happens next, there will be 50-50 of us that are sitting here going, blue beam are real. And I think that it's been led to that point on purpose. I think that the stuff can't hide anymore. And so we've been shown and gaslit and shown and gaslit. Think about sex in this country. Oh, don't have sex, but everything is sexualized. From the time you're now, like, I don't even know, these kids are growing up or just bombarded with this shit, but don't do it. Aliens aren't real and your government doesn't know anything about it. Aliens aren't real and your government doesn't know anything about it. If you look into it, you're a fool. If you look into it, you're a fool. Now, aliens are real, your government knows about it, you've got to look into this. But the narrative is the same. It's the same thing. It just shows that you've been walked into this. And even Robbie Graham, man, rest in peace, Robbie Graham. He wrote Silver Screen Saucers, and he talked about the narrative, like the mindset of the government's infiltration into movie, TVs, everything, radio, anything, to steer the narrative of how aliens, UFOs, and everything were talked about. At first, you couldn't talk about them at all. The only time they started getting acceptable was when they started asking the military for assets for their films, which then the military would give as long as they had some little tweaks to the script, right? They had to be framed that the aliens were bad people and that they were harming and that the U.S. government were the ones coming to save. In any movie you look at like that, that's sort of how it's framed, especially when you start getting the Michael Bay and all that, and that changes. But the narrative has been this: we should scare them or they're not real. You should be scared of them or they're not real. But now they're telling you that they are real and that you should be scared of them. So what the fuck is going on here? And again, I think that the narrative is just leading you to this idea that no matter what you see next, you are really going to have to be the judge of for yourself. They could fake so much. Look at our politicians with the masks. Look at the CGI shit they're doing. Look at the crisis
I truly believe that it's all connected. It's all for a greater purpose. There seems to be this prophetic playbook, and I want to get your insights into this. I've talked about this a couple of times. In about 9th grade, they were showing a video. I went to a Christian school, and they were showing a very low-budget video that was probably just produced for certain Christian schools that portrayed what it would be like during the apocalypse. And they had everything from wars, pandemics, and then a fake alien invasion, Blue Beam style, that would then ensure the global New World Order to be able to take over everything. And this was like 1992, 1993. I don't remember exactly. It's in the 90s, mid-90s. And I used to think it was the most hilarious video ever. Me and my friends would laugh at it. But looking back, it foretold basically everything that we're seeing now. And look at Hollywood, like you were just saying, Hollywood and the media, the programming we've been receiving, they have been essentially right about everything, but it's been portrayed in such a fantastical way, in such a way that we won't believe it because we're supposed to believe that it's fantasy based on everything that has unfolded so far. But now it's like we've just been being prepared for something. And this is across the board with the events we're seeing, from pandemics to global wars to psychological operations. And now it seems extraterrestrials has a tie in there. And it's never exactly what they've shown us in the media, but it's on a grander scale. It is, if you know what I mean.
I love that you said this. I also want to point out that you said they were right. Maybe they were right is one option to take, and we're going to do that one too. They were good at getting us to create is another way of looking at that exact same thing with the opposite energy. So another way to look at that is this predictive programming element. Maybe it is sort of this revelation of the method. They have to tell you what they're doing, but also maybe it's a predictive programming to where they've told you what to create because you're the one creating it. So if you're bombarding yourself with these cataclysmic times, you're watching movies like all throughout the 90s, like we did, like about Asteroid and all these awesome cataclysmic movies, and now we seem to be seeing those things. Maybe it's just a really long, drawn-out way of getting us to collectively create this. And then whenever you get to a time like this where you see things sort of manifesting in the way that they do, you have a lot of people who believe in religions, and a lot of religions specifically say that it's going to end at some time, that people are going to go somewhere, some people are going to go somewhere else, and that you should expect certain things. Now, as the water temperature turns up on a system that's obviously been doing this on purpose for a very long time, as more people can see it, as we've been saying for a very long time now, but as more people see it, it's not too late, but it is to this turning point to where it seems like now people are expecting the end of times. And so therefore, maybe we're going to start seeing plagues and shit because of how powerful we are. Now, to that line, just staying there, if we can catch it, if we will, or we can at least gain awareness before it gets to there, past what's called the PSR, the point of safe return, to where you do just sort of create this cataclysm. But either way, it's discovered, right? So let's say that there's a fork in that idea. We figure it out that we're all creating an all-powerful, and we are creating this, therefore we avert the catastrophe that we were going to create by the awareness. Or we go through the catastrophe, having gone through it, gain the awareness that prevents anything else in the future, and that's where this utopia is discovered. Another way to say it, back to what you were saying, is they were right, meaning maybe they have some sort of control over this. That's where you look into things like Project Looking Glass and stuff like that, with this chronovisor idea that these time travelers are all running around everywhere doing whatever, but there's advanced knowledge of at least predictable timelines or probable timelines, as they say. So with some degree of certainty, they can say things like, you don't need to buy volcano insurance in Antarctica, right? So there's sort of like some certainty as far as the level of timeline, and so they can steer the narrative, or at least maybe predict something or give you some advanced knowledge. Now, that then leans on the idea that either they have to, or that they desire to let you know what's going on in a certain way, which I don't know if there's some karmic bound to do so, then they're great at symbolism and hiding it. But also it's this illumination process that either way is taking place. So again, that's how I feel about that.
Where I'm at right now is what you just said about us creating it. I think that resonates with me greatly, because I think that we are creator beings. I think this realm is for us to create, and we manifest our reality. This is our realm that we are perpetually creating, and it's based on our previous experiences and the input we receive on a daily basis. But ultimately, the projection of what we visually take in and experience will create the next eventuality and the next experience. And I think that if there are negative forces, whether we want to call them demonic entities, lower vibrational entities, that they may not have that divine spark or creative ability. So they have to whisper in our ears and create events or circumstances that cause us to, in turn, ultimately create reality, to manifest a certain outcome. What do you think about that?
Nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I think of that movie Constantine with Gavin Rosdale's character, whenever he can just whisper into the guy's ear and the guy goes into the store and drinks himself to death, right?
Yeah.
And so it's this idea that you can be influenced, but this is where your constitution comes in. This is where your discernment comes in. You know, which person do you trust? Like, how do you navigate that? What do you look for in a partner? All of these things are what are so incredibly important for you to know about yourself, but it's so that on a micro independent level, you don't get bamboozled on these larger levels that we're encountering now. The thing coming out of your TV, there's a lot of people backing that idea, man. And it's very hard to be like one of the only ones probably in your family or neighborhood or city that says anything about it or even feels anything differently about it. And so to be that one shows something different. And this ubiquity in I want to say sheepalism, I sort of see this as part of the experience. If we dip it into the idea of NPCs and entities and things like this, these are just inhabited vessels. Folks like you and I are probably part of this group of paintballers, let's say, that rented the place for the weekend. Yeah. And there's maybe, let's say, 144,000 of us just for shits and gigs. Yeah. Let's say we come into this realm, we incarnate a few times within this system, and there is a system here where other than 144,000 souls or entities, all the other people are background people or part of the matrix. And the reason they exist is so that you need to really swim against the current. You need to know where to grow, where you're planted. And that's not given to you, again, in this place, whatever this place is. I wish I could know Kung Fu now, but we don't do that here. And so it seems that though the environment in which you are, of course, shapes how you're grown. And there's no arguing on the studies that have been done on that and in your own observation. But if you can look at that then and extrapolate it out to a larger idea with some emotional maturity, like what we're talking about, where we can look at other people and go, that motherfucker back there, he's not real, right? And say that maybe you guys are just background filler motherfuckers, just kind of walking around here with all the love in our heart. And I still treat you the same, just like I thank somebody's Alexa that plays a song because we don't have one. But what I mean to say is that this idea of you transcending this game in that way is what feels the most right to me, even though that's like a weird ass thing to say. It feels like it's sort of not a select group of us, but there is sort of a renegade group of us that are in here to change this place. And we break the Ouroboros by discovering its flaws, and we're able to navigate this matrix due to whatever skills we brought in here. We're some bad motherfuckers. And we do this by channeling the energy through us, which is why we feel it, which is why this sucks. Again, seems to be a mechanism of the environment. this reality, whatever, that we do that trauma, we will cure it. But how we cure it is by feeling it and transmuting it through our own awareness. So same thing that you can say, like, I know that I did this from my family with alcohol. I had a lineage of alcohol in my family. I stopped over 2 years ago. I don't even remember the day, just stopped. Since then, everything has changed. A lot of things have changed, but I had an Akashic record reading where an ancestor came to me that I didn't know. And she said, there's a man here. He looks like this. He said, thank you. He's got tears in his eyes. You healed the whole family line. So whether that's true or not, I feel different. So if that's the case, and then you can reinterpret your experience here, then what you were physically doing is changing this place from the inside out, because you can in shit and out beauty. And that's what alchemy is all about. And that's what we do here. We transmit the shit into beauty. We take the fucked up things that are going on around us and talk about them on podcasts and create books and documentaries for you guys and turn it into fucking gold. The same thing comedians do when they're, the jester is the only one that gets to slap the king.
Right.
It's,
yeah. Well, hell yeah, man. Well, let's close with some alchemy today. This is something new I've been doing for the ending of my shows. What are some of your favorite, most beautiful things you see happening around you in the world right now?
Love and community. I'm seeing a lot more community come together where people are not isolating themselves so much on these social media apps anymore, feeling powerless. They're actually standing up and taking charge of their lives. I love seeing this. That's the most beautiful kind of energy transmutation, because you've sat with it. And maybe you were again handed that through your lineage. An issue and a coping mechanism is what we're all handed here. And our job, I feel, is to, again, pick up where our parents left off. And you can do this not only for your folks, but your whole damn lineage. And just by transmuting that energy, and literally by you standing up and doing something outside of your comfort zone, by being more in touch with yourself and getting more in touch with your community, that is transcending those patterns and those blockages, which is what we're here to do. That's how we break the cycles. It's just by not repeating them, by not feeding energy into the TV that keeps you scared, by not perpetuating the ideas and talking gossip about other people that are just doing the best they can with the information they have at the time, and you having enough consciousness and conscientiousness to understand that. There's just a lot of growth that's taking place here, and it's all on an independent level, but we're all growing up together. And as I've said this whole time, it's not my quote, but I love it. We're all walking each other home. And as long as you can just stay the course and just know that you're not alone, just keep moving forward, we'll get through it.
I love it, man. So well said. Brandon, excellent as usual. Before you head out, let the audience know where they can find all your amazing content.
Yeah, right now, the podcast goes out anywhere podcasts are served. It's like 40-something listener apps. It's ridiculous. And then YouTube, Rokfin, Odyssey, all that good stuff. So check us out there. Socials are abound, all that good stuff. For damn sure, though, guys, go to Amazon.com, paperback and hardback copy available of the first Volume 1 Mindful Expansion. Go check it out. Get yours. It's fucking awesome. A bunch of people contributed some amazing quotes in here. Charlie Robinson threw a quote in here, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah, right there.
Charlie.
Anyway, thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Chris,
Brandon.
Man. This has been awesome.
Yes, it was awesome, and we'll definitely do it again soon. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow. We'll see you then.